Alright, what's up guys, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh video. So today's video we have a BGS bulk return, which is pretty much just the worst submission I've ever had back from any grading company. There's a whole load of issues, so I guess we'll just get right into it. I sent 130 LOB non-holographic cards to BGS in Feb 2021, just before they raised their prices. So it was a full set of all, whatever it is, like 105 or 103 non-holographic cards from LOB, and then plus a load of extras as well of some cards. And all the cards I sent were pack fresh, literally pulled from people directly from boxes that I then purchased them from. And I had about 10 pack fresh copies of each card. I went through those, picked out the single best copy of every single card. So we're talking about incredibly clean pack fresh LOB. I sent those cards to Beckett, Feb 21. They came back, I think, July of this year, or yeah, it might have been August. It was a while ago, and the grades were just all over the place, like 8.5s and 9s. Barely got any 9.5s. And on the whole 130 cards, so that's 520 different subgrades that they awarded, we didn't get a single 10. Literally 0 10 subgrades on all those 130 cards. So I thought that was crazy, and after I got the cards in, I contacted Beckett about it. And initially, they were helpful. They said, okay, we'll take the cards back, we'll have a look at them, see what's up. So I sent this whole huge package back to BGS again, only to find out when they received the package that they actually were not going to do anything about it, and they wanted me to pay for shipping to send the cards back to me again, or to pay for them all to be reviewed, like another, I think, $30 a card, which would have just been insane. So it was just a mess. They said they were going to fix it, then they decided not to fix it, so I had to pay for the cards to get returned to me again. So overall, I've paid over $2,000 in grading and shipping fees and insurance and everything on these cards. And yeah, the grades we got just mean that that was not in any way worth it. I pretty much just wasted $2,000 on nothing. But I thought I might as well make this video at least to give you guys an idea of how bad Beckett are at the moment, just in pretty much every department. And the cherry on top of this submission is actually the first card I subbed. So I subbed 130 cards. The first card didn't actually get graded. They sent it back like this. It's a Hitotsu Meat Giant, saying that it had been altered, or like possible tampering up top front right. And again, this is a card that I purchased directly from a guy who pulled it from a box. You guys can see there's no tampering on the top right corner. It's a little bit of a square cut from the factory. Which isn't even something that you can replicate if you wanted to. But yeah, absolutely nothing suspicious. And they didn't even mark the corner on the piece of paper. They marked the edge. So I have no idea why they didn't grade it, but yeah, they still charged me for that. So I paid, I think, $15 a card. So yeah, it doesn't feel great when they just don't even grade a pack fresh LOB common. And then I picked out a handful of just like the most insane grades from the whole submission. So here's a BGS 8.5 Green Phantom King. Centering is a bit off on it. I'd say it's probably a 9 most days, but fair enough. Okay, 8.5 centering. But then you guys can see it also got an 8.5 corners. And I've had a decent look over it. I mean, there's no whitening on any of the corners. There's just nothing weird about them. They're clean. I don't see any reason they should be below a 9.5 on corners, but yeah, they got an 8.5, so the card got an 8.5 overall. And we're not going to run through all the cards that were like this. Here's an 8.5 Yami with a 7.5 on surface. Again, this is a pack fresh card, and I had to look over it to see maybe I missed like a dent or something from the factory, and I couldn't see anything. This card looks clean. I couldn't find a single dent or really anything like that going on with the card. So yeah, kind of insane to me. It felt on a lot of these cards like the subgrades were pretty much just random. They didn't reflect A, how clean the cards were, but B, even like what the better aspects of the cards were. So here's a Kumutoko. 8.5 centering, probably fair on this one. It's pretty off center, but then just 9s on the rest. Not a single 9.5 subgrade on a literally just pack fresh, pristine, LOB non-hollow. You guys can see again, there's no whitening on the edges or corners. Just nothing like that going on at all. No scratching on the surface. It's a pack fresh card. So yeah, it's just insane to me that you could give it not a single 9.5 subgrade, let alone 10. And like I said, we didn't get any 10 subgrades on the entire submission. So again, here's a follow wind. To add to everything else, a lot of the cards came back with like scuffing on the case. Some of them have actual cracks on the case as well. We'll probably come across an example of that at some point. But yeah, so the cases weren't even in good condition. And again, you guys can see all of these cards are just absolutely packed fresh. So I have no idea what the grader was thinking with the subgrades he gave out. So this one again has an 8-5 corners, 9 on the rest. I don't see any whitening on the corners. I don't see any reason whatsoever why it would be below 9.5, let alone an 8.5. Here's a quad 9 green Dark King of the Abyss. Kind of the same story again. We're not going to go through the majority of the cards from this submission because it would just be a waste of time. Nearly all the cards got some kind of 9. Most of them have an 8.5 subgrade. Yeah, I think we hit about 10 to 15 9.5s on the whole submission, and out of those, maybe 4 of them were quad 9.5s. Here's another just demonstration of how random the submission was. I sent 2 Pot of Greeds. Now, this one on the left is absolutely pristine condition-wise. I actually thought if it got a 9.5 centering, it could get a BGS 10. I probably expected a 9 on centering. It's kind of off top to bottom. But aside from that, condition is absolutely flawless. This one on the right is pretty well centered, but it's got some obvious whitening on the top edge. So I figured it would get like an 8.5 or a 9 on edges, and maybe a 9.5 overall if it was able to get that 9. So this one probably got a fair grade. 9 edges, 9.5 rest is kind of in line with what I expected. But it just makes no sense to me at all that then this one gets the same subgrades. Like this one has obvious whitening. This one has a 9 on edges when all 4 edges on both sides are just absolutely pristine. And then like this one's got a worse corner grade than this one when it's a lot cleaner. Yeah, overall, it really just makes no sense. And it's disappointing to see, especially when you pay $2,000 to grade your cards. And these are not high value cards. These are not the kinds of cards that are worth money, even if they get 9s or 8.5s. I'd say in this market, most of these 9s are worth less than the cost of grading, let alone, if you factor in the price of the raw card as well. Here's a Forest, 9 again, 8.5 surface, 9 on the rest. This one isn't even off center. It looks pretty nicely centered. And again, just a pack fresh card. There's no scratching on the surface. There's just absolutely nothing that would make it even below a 9.5. And somehow the grader didn't give it anything above a 9 and an 8.5 on surface. So yeah, you guys pretty much get the idea by now. We'll go through a couple more. Here's a Trial of Hell from Legend of Blue Eyes. Quad 9, so no 9.5 subgrades. Right off the bat, centering looks like a 9.5 on this. But yeah, again, the rest of them pretty much all look like they could be 9.5s, the subgrades. Really nice, clean, pack fresh card. And I really haven't decided what I'm going to do with these. Obviously, at first I was hoping Beckett would review them, as they said they actually would. But since they didn't do anything about it, I guess I have to decide if I want to keep like a whole set of them like this, which probably I don't because the grades don't match and they don't reflect the condition of the cards either. Or I may crack them and send them to PSA, but at this point I've already spent $2,000 on these cards and they're not going to be worth that much no matter what I do with them, so it's kind of a tricky situation. Here's a Metal Dragon. Again, this one is a 9, has a 9.5 surface, but 9s on edges and corners, and they're just pristine on both sides. There's no like raised edges or raised corners or whitening or just anything that would give it below a 9.5. So we've got a couple of last 9s to look at. Here's an Aquamador. This one has an 8.5 on edges. It's a pack fresh card. I couldn't find any whitening or any other issue really with the edges whatsoever. Maybe the tiniest bit of like factory excess cut on the front, which is, at the top, which is just completely normal from the factory. Again, I would still say even 9.5 is a kind of harsh grade for that when that's the only issue with the edges. 8.5 is just insane. Makes no sense to me. And finally, we have a giant Soldier of Stone, same grade as the Aquamador, 9s and then a 9.5 on surface. The 9 centering is maybe fair on this one. It's a little bit off center left to right. But edges and corners, again, I looked all these cards over after I got them back. They just look completely fine to me. I don't see any whitening or any reason why it wouldn't be a 9.5. But yeah, that was pretty much the story of the whole submission. Like I said, none of the cards got any 10 subgrades, which with that many cards is just crazy. We'll bring up a couple of the 9.5s to finish. Here's a basic 9.5 laser cannon armor. Again, this has a 9 on edges. This, I believe, was one of the cleaner cards in the whole submission. There were a few which I thought could get pristines, and this was one of them. And somehow it's getting a 9 on edges, and again, I looked it over. It looks like a 10 on edges to me. There's not a single dot of whitening or raised edge or anything anywhere on the card. So even the cards that did get 9.5s, the grades on the whole still made no sense. And we'll just finish with like the absolute cleanest one I had. This is a Silver Fang. This got a quad 9.5, so this got the highest grade that any card in the submission got, because nothing got any 10s on anything. This card I honestly thought could get a black label. It's got amazing centering, absolutely zero whitening, front or back. The corners are shaped nice and smoothly. The cut is like flat all across the board. Just literally nothing wrong with the card, and it still didn't get a single 10 subgrade, just a quad 9.5. So yeah, it is what it is. At the end of the day, grading is kind of a roller coaster, and you know, you lose 2K on a sub like this, but you can easily gain it back with a good result in another submission. So it's not like this is really that hard a loss for me to take in that sense. But in terms of submitting cards to Beckett, this submission is pretty much just the final straw. I have no desire to send any cards to them again. I like the slab, I like the label, and a lot of my collection is in a BGS slab, but in terms of submitting them cards in this market, it just makes no sense. The grades they give out are insanely harsh. Most of the time they don't correlate to the actual condition of the card at all anyway, and they're not cheap either. They're more expensive than PSA and CGC at this point, so there's really just nothing that makes it appealing to send to BGS. Which is a shame because they used to be my preferred grading company, but unless something significant changes, I really don't see myself sending cards to them again. PSA or CGC is always going to be a better bet at the moment. Yeah, with that being said, that pretty much brings us to the end of this video. Not the kind of video I really enjoy making, but with just how bad BGS were, both with like the initial grades on the cards and then the way they handled it, you know, going back and forth, telling me they'll review the cards, so I pay to get them shipped out, and then telling me they're not going to review the cards, so I have to pay again to get them shipped back to me, and have the cards just in limbo at their facility for like a couple of months. It's just a terrible experience, and I felt that that was worth putting out there so you guys are aware. So yeah, with that being said, that pretty much brings us to the end of this video. This is Schlost, signing out. I'll see you guys next time.